Title: The Passenger Who Wasn't There. It was supposed to be just another ordinary evening commute. My name is Alex Carter, and I've taken the same bus route home for the past 3 years. I knew every twist and turn of that journey, every flicker of the streetlights outside the foggy windows. But one night changed everything, and to this day, I still can't explain what happened. It was late autumn, the sky painted in streaks of gray as dusk crept in earlier with each passing day. The bus was unusually empty for that hour, just me, the driver, and a handful of scattered passengers lost in their own worlds. I slid into my usual seat by the window, earbuds in, staring out at the blur of city lights. About halfway through the route, the bus stopped at a dimly lit station I barely noticed before. That's when he got on. There was something immediately off about him. His skin was unnervingly pale, almost translucent under the dim bus lights, with faint bluish veins tracing patterns like cracks beneath the surface. His face was gaunt, angular, and his lips were thin, slightly parted as if perpetually mid-breath, yet I never saw his chest rise or fall. A faint, almost imperceptible shadow seemed to cling to him, darker than the surrounding night, as though the darkness itself refused to let go. He was dressed in an old-fashioned suit, slightly disheveled, with a fedora pulled low over his face. His clothes were oddly out of place, like he had stepped out of another time. But it wasn't his attire that unsettled me, it was the way he moved, stiff and mechanical, like his joints resisted every motion. He chose the seat directly across from me, even though the bus was nearly empty. I felt his gaze through the shadow of his hat, burning into me despite my best efforts to ignore it. My skin prickled with unease, and for reasons I still can't explain, I removed my earbuds to listen to the silence between us. But the bus wasn't silent. I could hear faint whispers, soft and unintelligible, like distant echoes trapped inside a bottle. The sound slithered into my ears, sending an involuntary shiver down my spine. My chest tightened, and an icy wave of dread settled over me, as if the whispers were clawing at the edges of my sanity. The sensation felt disturbingly familiar, triggering a long-buried memory of being lost as a child in a crowded mall, that same paralyzing fear of being watched, alone, and unseen by anyone who could help. My palms grew clammy, and despite the cool autumn air, beads of sweat formed along my hairline. It was as if the whispers weren't just sounds but invisible fingers, reaching into the fragile corners of my mind. I glanced around, expecting to see someone talking on the phone or whispering to a seatmate, but no one else seemed to notice. The other passengers stared blankly ahead, oblivious to the tension that wrapped around me like a cold hand. When I finally mustered the courage to look at him, he was smiling. Not a friendly smile. It was too wide, too forced, stretching his pale skin unnaturally tight over sharp cheekbones. His eyes, when I met them, were the worst part. They were dark, almost black, but with an unnatural reflective gleam, like polished glass. Suddenly, the bus lights flickered, just once, but enough to make my heart jump. When the lights steadied, he was gone. The seat across from me was empty. I blinked, shook my head, convinced my mind was playing tricks. Maybe he moved seats when I looked away. I scanned the bus frantically. No sign of him. None of the passengers had shifted. The driver kept his eyes on the road, oblivious. Then I noticed something chilling. The window beside the empty seat was fogged over, but there was a handprint pressed against the glass from the inside. My breath hitched, and a cold sweat prickled down my spine. The handprint wasn't just a simple smudge. It was unnervingly detailed, with long, spindly fingers that seemed to claw at the glass, leaving streaks trailing downward, as if whoever made it had been desperately trying to hold on or escape. My heart pounded in my ears, drowning out the faint hum of the bus engine. I reached out instinctively, my fingers hovering inches away from the glass, and felt an inexplicable drop in temperature radiating from it. A sudden jolt of fear gripped me when, for a fleeting second, I thought I saw the faintest outline of another hand pressing back from the other side, though no one was there. It was unnervingly clear, as if whoever left it had been leaning there moments ago. The handprint was too large, fingers unnervingly long, and what disturbed me most, it had 6 fingers. I didn't sleep that night. The image of that handprint burned into my mind, along with the memory of those hollow eyes. The next day, I convinced myself it was just exhaustion, stress, maybe even a weird coincidence. But the following evening, as I boarded the bus, the same seat was taken by him. The same old suit, the same fedora, the same empty, glassy eyes locked on me the moment I stepped on. The air felt heavier, as if the bus itself was suffocating under an unseen weight. The usual faint hum of the engine seemed distant, replaced by an eerie stillness broken only by the faint creak of the bus's metal frame, as if it too sensed something was wrong. The other passengers sat unnervingly still, their faces blank, eyes glazed over like mannequins in a store window, not even blinking. It was as if time had slowed, trapping us in a silent, heavy vacuum, with only his hollow gaze anchoring me to the chilling reality of the moment. And that same unsettling smile. This time, something was different. As I walked past him, I felt an overwhelming coldness, like stepping into a freezer. My breath misted in the air, though it wasn't cold outside. When I glanced at the window beside him, instead of a reflection, I saw darkness, not the night outside, but an abyss, as if the window led somewhere else entirely. I tried to ignore him, but my heart raced uncontrollably. Then I noticed the whispers again, clearer this time. They weren't random murmurs, they were repeating my name. Alex, Alex. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to confront him, but the seat was empty once again. Only this time, there was something left behind. A small, old-fashioned pocket watch sat on the seat. I picked it up, and as soon as my fingers touched the cold metal, the whispers stopped. The watch wasn't ticking. Its hands were frozen at exactly 11:11. I still have that watch. It never moves, but sometimes, when the room is quiet, I hear faint ticking. Occasionally, when the ticking grows louder, I notice the hands have shifted slightly, always pointing toward the same time. 11:11. And once, just once, I swear I saw a faint reflection in the watch's glass, not my face, but his, smiling that same unsettling smile. And I never take the bus anymore.